Well, hey folks, since I was last on air, it feels like the world has absolutely gone to hell in a handcart. We're on the second week of Putin's invasion of Ukraine and continue to receive a painfully slow feed of news on the advancement of Russian forces towards Ukraine's capital, Kiev. And during his State of the Union address, we've seen President Biden accidentally say he stands with the Iranian people, with his Vice President Kamala Harris appearing to mouth the word Ukrainian, clearly recognising the cock-up just made. In another interview this week, he said Putin had decided he's going to invade Russia, proving, folks, that while the White House might be the most luxurious retirement home in the world, it turns out it's no longer the House of Lords. We've seen the complete trashing of, frankly, the legacy of Angela Merkel. The 16 long years she's been was Chancellor of Germany, often hailed as a bastion of liberalism in Europe, only to have ushered in an era of reliance upon Russia, stupidly, naively, moronically allowing a pipeline to connect the two nations economically. We're now about to witness the painful untangling of what Angela Merkel has done between those two nations. And speaking of gas, folks, well, God, we've been talking about that quite a lot. We've seen European gas prices hit record highs, yet the government still won't countenance making use of the rich seam that's under our feet. A golden opportunity, if you ask me, that's been royally squandered in not exploiting that high-quality gas that we know is there. Meanwhile, Americans can still keep their gas prices low because of the shale gas revolution that took place under Presidents Obama and Trump. The cost of natural gas in Europe, folks, is a whopping 13 times, unlucky for some, certainly for Europeans, 13 times more than what the Yanks are paying. At least we're listening to teenage truant Greta Thunberg and her clan on energy policy over common sense politics, eh? The zealots of the Remain cause told us that Britain would also be smaller, isolated and mean-spirited post-Brexit. The one thing that this horrendous war has shown with crystal clarity, in my view, is how very wrong they were. I actually feel, I don't know about you, but I feel immensely proud of the British response and the leadership that we've actually shown in our response to Russian brutality. The Ukrainian military views Britain as its strongest proponent. We're trained 20,000 snipers, and our training on how to use those anti-tank missiles have proven invaluable in the defence of Ukraine. But I've said it before and I'll repeat it now. This war, the threat of nuclear holocaust, the sky-high bills as a consequence of weaning Europe off of Putin's gas, and of course the tragic loss of life, including that of civilians, has called into question the self-indulgent, narcissistic self-loathing that activists in Britain have obsessed over in recent years. Now, to me, one such event that's coming up on Tuesday, folks, it's International Women's Day, a chance for groups that like to paint a picture of women as being nothing other than victims in modern Britain to get together and tell us just how rotten men are. Now, folks, I was brought up exclusively by women, and let me tell you, the two of them responsible for bringing me up are anything but victims of life or wider society. And actually, I think the message from the two of them would be that we don't need to convince boys that masculinity is toxic. We don't need to teach boys that their sex means they're naturally evil. We don't need to persuade boys that they're just intrinsically a threat to women. Society needs more men like me late granddad, for example, a man who fought for his country, worked down the pits, then as a plumber, raising 5 kids, doing it all whilst remaining well-dressed, smart and tidy, polite and an all-round decent bloke and heroic granddad. We need more men like that who won't leave women when the going gets tough, who won't flee once a baby's on the scene. We need to create resilient men that don't waste their lives playing video games in their boxer shorts. We need to recognise that celebrating the difference between men and women isn't altogether a bad thing. We need to drop this narrative around toxic masculinity. Because I tell you what, folks, until we do, I reckon we'd be pretty hard-pressed to win any war where the Russians or the Chinese to catch that Eurostar over the channel and invade these shores. But what do you think? Has the whole equalities agenda and the feminist movement gone too far? Or do you think I'm talking complete rubbish and women do have it pretty tough in modern life?